Look at someone sitting alone in a quiet room. No sound, no movement, and yet, without any reason, the hair on their neck rises, their shoulders tense. They turn around and sometimes there really is someone there. Most people call this a sixth sense, a silent signal passing from one mind to another. The idea feels ancient and almost magical, like the body knows something the mind has not caught up to yet. But that explanation has never held up under real scientific testing. Something else is happening here. Something built into the body long before humans had language to describe it. So what is actually happening when we feel eyes on us? And how does the body know before we do? For decades, people believed this feeling came from something outside the body. A kind of energy sent from the watcher's eyes into the watched person's skin. Books were written about it. Experiments were run in the 1800s to try to measure it. The idea was simple. Staring creates a force. That force can be felt. But biology tells a very different story. There is no beam, no transmission, no hidden energy field connecting two people across a room. What there is something far stranger. A detection system built directly into your nervous system, running automatically much of the time without you ever noticing. Researchers have measured how much of the human visual field operates without focus at all. Peripheral vision covers nearly 180 degrees around the head, and most of it is processing motion constantly, even when you are not looking. Now, to understand why that matters here, we need to go back, long before rooms and doors and glass windows. Imagine an early human crouched near a river, thousands of years before cities existed. No walls, no doors. No safe place to close and lock. Grass taller than a person's waist stretches in every direction, and somewhere inside it, something is moving. The human cannot see it directly, not with sharp focus, but something in their body reacts anyway. Muscles tighten, breathing slows, eyes widen without being told to. The whole body shifts into a state of readiness before a single clear detail has been confirmed. This was not a mistake. This was survival equipment. It was built through thousands of generations of humans who lived or died, based on how fast their body noticed a predator's eyes before their mind ever understood why. The ones who waited for certainty often did not get a second chance. Human eyes were never built to only see what is directly in front of them. The edges of your vision, the parts you never consciously use, are wired for one job only: catching motion. Sharp detail lives in the center of the eye, in a small area called the fovea. That is where color, texture, and fine lines come into focus. But the outer edges work completely differently. They are rough, low on detail, built for speed rather than clarity. Think of it like a security camera with two settings running at once. One zooms in close, sharp, and slow. The other stays wide and blurry, but reacts instantly to anything that shifts. This is why a flicker in the corner of a room can pull your head around before you even register what moved. Your brain saw it. It just has not told the rest of you yet. Scientists studying vision have found that this peripheral system responds faster than the part of the brain responsible for conscious thought. The signal reaches the muscles that turn your head before it reaches the part of you that can explain why you turned. By the time you understand why you turned, your body has already finished reacting. That gap between reacting and understanding is where the feeling of being watched is born. There is another system working alongside your eyes, and it lives across your entire skin. Every hair follicle on your body is connected to a tiny muscle called an erector pili. When your nervous system senses possible danger, before any clear evidence exists, those muscles pull tight. Skin tightens, hair lifts. This happens in less than a second, and almost always before you have consciously decided anything is wrong. This reaction long predates modern humans. In animals with thicker fur, it made them look larger to a threat, puffing the body up in an instant. In humans, the fur mostly disappeared over time, but the wiring underneath stayed exactly the same. We kept the response. We just lost most of the coat it was originally built for. So when the skin on the back of your neck prickles in a quiet room, that is not imagination. Yet something unexpected shows up here. This system does not need someone to actually be watching you. It only needs your brain to believe the possibility is high enough to prepare for it. A closed door, a dark window, a sound that stops too suddenly. Any of it can be enough to switch the response on with nobody there at all. Buried in the human brain is a region scientists call the superior temporal sulcus. Its entire purpose, as far as researchers can tell, is tracking where other faces are looking. Not what they are saying, not what they are doing, just where their eyes are pointed. This region activates when you glance at a photo of a face and instantly know if it is looking at you or past you. It works almost instantly, faster than conscious thought can follow. You do not calculate it. You simply know. Humans are built to track gaze because gaze mattered enormously to survival. A predator's stare meant an attack was close. Another human stare could mean threat or alliance or warning, depending entirely on context the brain had to read in a fraction of a second. Reading eyes accurately was often the difference between reacting in time and reacting too late. Even newborn babies, only hours old, already show a preference for looking at eyes that appear to be looking back at them, rather than eyes turned away. This is not something a baby is taught. It arrives already installed. This detector is always running. Even in an empty room, even with no face present at all, it stays active, scanning shadows and shapes for anything resembling eyes. 2 dark spots on a coat rack in a dim hallway. A pattern in tree bark. A pair of headlights through a curtain. The brain checks all of it just in case. The picture changes again once you look at the research. In the 1990s and early 2000s, researchers ran controlled experiments specifically testing whether people could sense being watched from behind, using cameras and randomized timing so participants had no outside clues to rely on. The results were far less dramatic than the folklore suggested. Across most trials, people performed close to chance, guessing correctly about as often as they guessed wrong. A small number of studies reported results slightly above chance, but later attempts to repeat those results under stricter conditions did not hold up. Scientists have not found reliable evidence of a mysterious external sense passing between two people. What they did find is something almost more interesting. The brain's gaze and motion detection systems are so sensitive that they fire even without a real trigger. A draft of air, a shift in light, a memory of eyes from years earlier. Any of it can be enough to switch the reaction on, whether or not anyone is actually there. That still leaves one question unanswered. If the system is this sensitive, why does it not go off constantly? Why do most crowded rooms feel normal, while an empty hallway at night feels charged with eyes that are not there? Context changes everything. The brain does not treat every space the same. In familiar, well-lit places, the detection threshold rises. The brain has already decided this environment is safe, so it takes more evidence to trigger a reaction. But in unfamiliar places, dark corners, silence after noise, the threshold drops sharply. The brain assumes danger first and asks questions later. This is not a flaw. It is efficient. A false alarm costs a moment of fear. A missed real threat in the ancient world could cost a life. There is also a memory bias at work. When you feel watched and turn around to find someone actually looking at you, that moment gets stored vividly. It becomes a story you tell later, proof that the feeling means something. The hundreds of times you felt the same prickle and found nothing simply fade, unremembered, because nothing happened worth keeping. Only the hits stay sharp in memory. The misses disappear quietly, without ever being counted. This is the same reason a broken clock still feels right twice a day. Trigger that response often enough in enough rooms, hallways, and quiet streets, and every so often it will land on a moment when someone really was looking. That single match is what gets remembered as evidence. So the feeling is real. The nervous system reaction is real. What is uncertain is whether it accurately detects a real gaze, or whether it simply fires often enough that, eventually, it happens to be right, and those rare hits are the only ones your memory bothered to keep. The feeling of being watched is not a hidden sense reaching beyond the body. It is the opposite. It is proof of how much attention your body is already paying, every second, without asking permission and without waiting for you to catch up. Your skin is not just covering. It is a warning surface, stitched with thousands of tiny sensors that pull tight the moment danger seems possible. Your peripheral vision is not just background. It is a second set of eyes, always working the edges of the room while the center handles everything you think you are actually looking at. You were never simply standing there. You were scanning, sensing, calculating threat, long before your mind had a single conscious thought about it. The quiet room was never quiet to your nervous system. It was working the whole time. This system never turned off just because the danger changed shape. It still runs in office hallways, quiet parking lots, empty subway platforms at night, and even in a bright room the moment you feel someone standing just behind you before you hear a single footstep. For most people today, large predators are no longer part of daily life. The wiring built to detect them is still fully active. Every time your neck prickles in a silent room, you are feeling equipment older than language, older than fire, still doing exactly the job it was built for. It does not know the grassland is gone. It only knows its job was never officially finished. It is not broken. It is not superstition. It is a body that has simply never stopped watching for the thing that once tried to watch it first, running the same patrol it has run for longer than any city has existed. Somewhere between the edges of your vision and the hair on your skin, an ancient system is still quietly running, checking every room you enter for eyes you cannot see. You do not control it. You do not even notice most of the time it works. And maybe that is the strangest part. The feeling was never proof that someone was watching you. It was proof that you were never once, in your entire life, actually alone with your own senses. If this kind of hidden wiring interests you, subscribe. There is a lot more sitting quietly underneath being human. What is the strangest moment you have felt like you were being watched? Drop it below. I would love to read it.